Good morning. Holy my mic couldn't keep up. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Road to Rec. Recently, we've been making a bit too much content. Let's say we've been on a roll, and it would take another 5 episodes to process this footage at the same pace of my other videos. We're not gonna do that. So, today we're discussing 2 out of the 5 full runs, and that's the video. The first run of the video is actually the last run of that day's session, and I'm really tired, which is going to play a part later in the run. I would have put the run in the last video, but I didn't want it to be too long, so I saved it for this episode. You guys can let me know if you want longer videos, but from the statistics it seems the 10 to 15 minute videos are the most well received ones. Anyway, in the meantime there's been playing a Maiden, and there wasn't really much to say about this one. We get her to 0 defense after dumping all of our specs, but at least the Ranger still has the ZCB spec for 50s. Chins are decent, and we bow into the 30s without getting the 30s on 50 stack. There's one interesting thing to point out that I haven't so far. Notice how I click the front of the stack to freeze S2. I do this because this crab cleaves to the entire stack, including the walking S2 and the north N3. If I click the S2, I would only cleave the bottom half of the stack. I figured I'd point that out. During my last stream, live on Twitch almost every session, feel free to come talk to me or just lurk like I personally would. We talked about Nilo waves and how I should incorporate them into my videos, and I came to the conclusion that I want to address more stuff during these episodes than I have previously. I didn't want to get too deep into Nilo waves because it's pretty complicated to explain to newer players, and I wanted this series to be accessible to everyone, not just max efficiency nerds. However, I do think it's interesting to talk about, and I've covered other rooms in quite a bit of detail too, so why not Nilo? Okay, so in order to make it accessible to everyone, I'll start off easy, even though I already talked about my rotation a bit in the previous episode. The basics of Nilo waves go as follows. There are 31 waves, and the waves are split into 2 categories, pre-cap and post-cap. During the waves, there is a room cap, essentially a limit of how many Nilokas can be inside the room, with new waves still spawning. This means that if you exceed the room cap, the next wave won't spawn, which is known as stalling. We try to avoid stalling as much as possible because stalls naturally push the room time up, which is bad for speedrunning. During the first half of the waves, which is the pre-cap, the room cap is 12. At wave 20, the room cap doubles to 24, which is called the post-cap. The waves are not random. In fact, they're the same every time. However, every big Nilokas that's killed will spawn 2 smalls after their death animation. These smalls are random, but they can never be aggros. The strategy to speedrun Nilo waves is to 1. Not stall, 2. Kill bigs first, and 3. Avoid doubling up unnecessarily. There are some more details that I'll discuss another time, but for now, that's the general idea. The reason we don't want to stall speaks for itself, but you might wonder why we're prioritizing bigs. The reason killing bigs is so important is because their death animation is quite long, and if we kill them late, their splits come late, which can throw people off, lead to poor decision making, and we might lose potential value of those splits stacking up with other Nilos that we can then barrage or chin. When they come late, we've already killed what they might have stacked up with, and this is simply less efficient. Doubling up is another inefficiency to avoid, which is why everyone has a specific role, side, and sometimes even a specific spawn to clean up by themselves. After the last wave spawns, we enter the so-called cleanup. During the cleanup, avoiding doubling up is particularly important. I hope that made sense to everyone and wasn't too much of a drag for the more experienced viewers. Anyway, the next video will have the next level of explanation. For now, let's get into the Nilo boss. And you guessed it, Insta Mage. I don't really know what we're expecting at this point, but come on. At least the damage is good somehow. After the second mage phase, we get a range phase and then a melee phase, in which we actually manage to kill him. That's pretty quick for a double mage boss. 535 into Sode, that's just about the threshold. Which is good because this was gonna be our last run of the day anyway. Next up, we have a Sode, and something I still don't understand happens during the second maze. The first bit of the maze goes alright, but when I need to initiate the second stall through spellbook swapping, I click early, which basically nulls the clicks because I'm still stalled from dehumidify. Then I just equip the neck that I didn't equip because I clicked it early, I don't stall, and somehow I do survive the maze. I really should be dead here, but I guess I just got low rolled. Extremely lucky survival, we clean up the Sode, and I'm just baffled that I lived. Time-wise, it was a pretty average Sode. 134, nothing special. With our entry being on the worse end, this raid is sort of lost, but since it was the last run of the day, we decided to just give it a shot since it's technically wreckable if we wreck both Zarpus and Verzik. The Zarp's pretty ass, but you know by now that we don't really res these. So let's see Verzik. We kill P1 with no issues, but then during P2 crabs I kind of crumbled. Like I said earlier, I was pretty tired and this pace didn't really help with staying awake either. Then Alex calls to be careful to not heal on the red crab proc, and I swing her anyway, and he just sounds so disappointed.
Be careful. Oh. Really?
I'm almost crying watching this back. Anyway, we wrap up the Verzik and it turns out to be an acceptable Verzik at 316. But with this entry, that's not even close to wreck. A 1232 is still a very fast raid, which is why I wanted to include it in the video. Okay, next raid. At this point I've skipped over an entire 4-hour session to get to this raid, and it's really a shame because we had a lot of potentially good runs that were all ruined by the Nilo boss. Actually, before we get into the next raid, let me show you. Okay, so for the next run I'm going to speed a bit through the first couple of rooms. Maiden was a 112, Blood was actually good too at 42 seconds, and we get a 154 into Nilo. That's super good. Nilo was decent, and we're at 528 into Sode. This is the pace we like to see. Unfortunately, I'd been messing with my settings prior to this run, and for the next few runs, the quality is going to be kind of bad. What I tried setting up was 2 separate recording tracks, one featuring only gameplay and the other my entire stream. While setting this up though, I forgot to adjust the bitrate of these recordings and they were set way too low by default. That's another reason why I'm going to use pretty much only the necessary footage to track our progress and move on quickly to the better quality footage. So be prepared. There's definitely some stuff that I can't let you guys on YouTube miss out on, so we're gonna keep it in. We survived the first Sode maze, hammers are good so far and it's actually really quick. We still have 5 hammers left for one phase and that means we might have 3 claw specs if both hammers hit. We DD for the ball and all we need to do now is survive the second maze. This is exciting since it's also on a good entry. Ideally I wanted to get one more Venge off before the second maze, but I didn't want to risk it early and I didn't get any orbs later. The second maze is clean and we have 2 claw specs left. We cleaned the Sode up and we converted into a 130. That means it's a sub 7 into Zarpus. Our best entry yet. Very nice and we were very excited.
Oh,
That's good.
What's
God.
that? Ooh.
oh,
Hey, there it is,
Oh,
the sub
shit,
7.
bro.
Next up is Zarpus and oh boy, we couldn't get him to 0 defense. I BGS'd twice and hit 2 zeros. This is a scam.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, due to this, it's a horrible 216 Zarpus, and our pace is ruined.
I
Fuck.
refuse to believe someone didn't troll. Like, how can that happen?
Absolute
That's,
depression, bro.
yeah.
I thought the universe was coughing up my wreck.
Nobody through, and nobody's getting wreck. Not on this pace, anyway. We get a decent P1 and a spicy P2 crabs. Alex almost gets destroyed, but we live and we continue the Versic with some very clean P3 crabs. Good work, Beast. As we start webs, we proc tornadoes, and one tornado is directly in the path of
Reruns
webs,
when you
so we
can.
heal her 105 hit points. This damage is great though, and so is the Versic. On a
Gonna proc
good
it.
Zarpus, which is 204, we would have wrecked this
Really?
raid,
Oh my
so the
God.
team is pissed.
So
Nothing
cringe.
we can do though. That's just the RNG we need to
Claw?
line up
Charlie?
to get wrecked.
Shelly here.
216 Zarpus is absolutely
Jesus.
horrible, and we got
That's a
scammed
good
of a
Versic.
good
That's a
raid
good run for
regardless.
sure. Is
Wait, what did we
What
rank?
is it,
Joe
though?
4?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
rank
would've been
Joe.
rank.
it's
Oh,
your rank on
CBA. I
Surf.
CBA. What the
Holy shit.
Holy.
Oh my god.
Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I know there wasn't much entertainment value to this one, but I just have a lot of actually good runs that I need to show off for the next few episodes. I'd love to meme around more, and I definitely have some content lined up, but I'm saving that for the next episodes. I know next week we're getting TOA, which I'll be grinding the same as you guys, but I'll try to finish this series regardless, whether we get rec or not. If we don't get it before TOA, it'll be an open-ended series with potentially a season 2 once the TOA hype dies down. I'll make some videos on TOA as well, but the first few days I'll probably be busy grinding it too much to put out any content. I'll definitely be streaming it though. Okay, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.